Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are heading onto the court to talk about one of the most, shiny and often misunderstood awards in all of pro sports. It's the trophy that answers that really primal question in basketball. Who is the most unstoppable force on the planet right now? We are talking about the NBA scoring title.
It really is the ultimate badge of individual dominance, isn't it? Because you strip away all the narratives, the voting fatigue you get with the MVP award.
Right.
The scoring title is supposed to be objective. It's supposed to be cold, hard math. Either you put the ball in the basket more than everyone else or you didn't.
Exactly. It's the get out of my way, I'm getting a bucket award.
Yeah.
And I think for most of us, watching the games or just checking the box scores in the morning, we assume it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you think so.
You just count up all the points at the end of the year, and the person with the biggest number takes home the hardware?
But as we looked through the comprehensive historical records of all the annual scoring leaders, and we went all the way from the league's start in 1946 right up through the 2024-25 season, we found the math isn't actually that simple.
Not at all.
It's surprisingly messy.
Oh, it gets complicated fast. We're talking about rule changes, statistical loopholes, and some really, really weird historical quirks.
We are. We're going to look at how the definition of scoring leader has actually shifted over the decades and how that changed the way the game is played. We'll look at the myths around the award and the titans who hold records that, and I really don't say this lightly, will likely never be broken.
And here's the hook for you listening right now. You probably think you know who the best scorers in history are. But there are seasons where the guy who scored the most baskets didn't actually win the title.
That's right. Sometimes winning is just a matter of, reading the fine print.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because this totally blew my mind when we were prepping. There was a specific year where the definition of scoring leader completely flipped, and it changed everything.
It did. This is Section 1, the rules of engagement. If you were playing in the NBA before the 1969-70 season, the scoring champion was just determined by total points.
As simple as that.
It was an endurance test. If you played 80 games and scored 2,000 points, you beat the guy who played 60 games and scored 1,800, regardless of who was actually scoring more on a nightly basis.
So volume was king. It didn't matter if you were efficient. It just mattered that you showed up and put numbers on the board every single night.
Precisely. But starting in that 69-70 season, the league pivoted. They switched the criteria to points per game, your average.
Ah, okay.
They wanted to reward dominance over durability. The logic was, if I'm scoring 35 points a night, but I missed 10 games with a sprained ankle, am I really a worse scorer than the guy averaging 25 who never misses a game?
The league decided no. But this pivot created some fascinating historical ironies. I'd call it robbing the bank, because you had these technically correct winners who walked away with a trophy despite scoring fewer total points.
The very first year of the rule change is the perfect example, 1969-70. You had a rookie named Lou Alcindor, who we all now know as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Right.
He was an absolute Iron Man. He played almost every game and scored the most total points in the league that year. 2,361.
Which is a massive number. In any era, that's an MVP caliber season.
It is. But he didn't win the scoring title. Jerry West did. West averaged 31.2 points per game, which was just slightly higher than Alcindor's average.
But wait.
But here's the kicker. Jerry West played fewer games and had significantly fewer total points.
So imagine scoring the most points in the entire league. You're the rookie sensation, and you're told, sorry, your average is slightly lower because you played more games.
Yeah.
That feels like a punishment for being available.
It really does. And this isn't just some old school quirk. This happens in the modern era, too. Fast forward to 2002-03, Kobe Bryant. He was an absolute machine that year, played all 82 games and scored 2,461 total points, the most in the NBA.
But he didn't win.
Nope. The scoring title went to Tracy McGrady because T-Mac had a higher nightly average despite playing fewer games and scoring fewer total points.
Wow. And even more recently, LeBron James in 2017-18. He played all 82 games, the only time in his career he's ever done that, and had the highest total.
But finished third in the scoring race based on average.
That's crazy.
It really highlights a philosophical shift. The NBA decided that peak performance matters more than total accumulation, But they realized this creates a danger.
Right.
If it's only about average, what stops someone from playing one game, scoring 50, and then quitting the season and claiming the title with a 50-point average?
The I quit while I'm ahead strategy. I'd try it.
Well, they instituted a guardrail. It's the qualification hurdle. In the modern NBA, to technically qualify for the scoring title, a player has to appear in at least 58 of 82 games.
Which seems fair. You have to play about 70% of the season.
Yeah.
But looking at our source material, there's a loophole here, a kind of mathematical exception clause that I find fascinating.
It is a very specific, very rare exception. If a player appears in fewer than 58 games, they aren't automatically out. The league takes their total points and divides it by 58.
Oh, wow.
As if they had played those missing games and scored 0 points in all of them.
So they dilute your average. They basically treat those missed games as goose eggs.
Exactly. And if that diluted average is still higher than everyone else's regular average, you win the title.
That sounds incredibly hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever actually survived that math?
It's nearly impossible because the penalty of taking a 0 is just so high. We actually saw how strict these rules can be very recently.
Right.
Look at the 2023-24 season with Joel Embiid.
Oh, right.
He was having a historic run. I mean, he was averaging a massive 34.7 points per game.
That is a runaway number. Usually like 30 or 31 wins it comfortably. 34.7 is a blowout.
It absolutely is. But he only played 39 games because of an injury, so he didn't meet the 58-game threshold.
And the loophole didn't save him.
No, even if you tried to apply it. Taking his total points and dividing by 58, the zeros dragged him way down below the other leaders, so he was just erased from the leaderboard.
It's brutal. You could be the best scorer when you're on the floor, but if you aren't on the floor enough, the record books don't care.
Availability is the best ability, as they say. The rule ensures that the scoring champ is a fixture of the season, not just, a guest star.
Okay, so speaking of fixtures and just pure, unadulterated dominance, we have to talk about the Titans, the guys whose records just look like typos.
You can't talk scoring without talking Wilt.
Wilt Chamberlain. I was reading through the breakdown of his 1961-62 season, and the numbers, I mean, they represent a level of activity I don't think humans are capable of anymore.
They really don't look real. We talk about a great season now as, averaging 30 points per game.
Yeah.
In the 1961-62 season, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50.4 points per game.
50.4. That means he was cutting up a half century every single night on average.
And he scored 4,029 total points that season. To give you some context, even in today's high-scoring, three-point-heavy seasons, getting to 2,500 is rare. 4,000 is extraterrestrial.
And people always say, oh, the pace was faster back then.
The pace was faster, that's true. But here's the stat that just breaks that argument for me. Wilt averaged 48.5 minutes per game that season.
Wait, there were only 48 minutes in a game?
He played every minute of every game, plus overtime. He never sat down. So yes, the pace was high, but the stamina required to run that much for 48 minutes and score 50. That's not just era inflation. That is a level of physical dominance we will likely never see again.
And it wasn't a one-off. He won 7 consecutive scoring titles. That feels untouchable. But there is one other name that matches that consistency.
His airness. Michael Jordan.
The GOAT.
If Wilt owns the single-season peaks, Jordan owns the career consistency. Michael Jordan holds the record for the most scoring titles in NBA history with 10.
10 scoring titles. That's a full decade of being the best scorer in the world.
It is. And like Wilt, he won 7 of them consecutively. But what's so fascinating about Jordan is that he did it at both ends of his career. We mentioned Wilt's rookie dominance, but Jordan adapted his game as he aged. In fact, Jordan is the oldest scoring leader in history.
Oh, really? I would have guessed someone like Curry recently.
Nope, it's Jordan. In the 1997-98 season, the last dance year, he won the title at age 35, averaging 28.7 points.
Wow.
So you have Wilt dominating with pure physical force in his 20s, and then you have Jordan dominating with skill, footwork, and that mid-range precision in his mid-30s.
That longevity is just incredible. Most high-volume scorers, their legs are burned out by 32. Jordan reinvented how he scored to keep the trophy. But, sometimes the scoring title isn't decided by a decade of dominance. Sometimes it comes down to the very last day of the season.
The photo finishes.
The great shootouts.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part of the history. There are these moments where the math of the average rule just creates incredible drama.
The most famous one has to be 1978, the duel between George Gervin the Iceman and David Thompson.
This story is wild. So, it's the last day of the season. The race is neck and neck. David Thompson plays first. And he clearly decided, I am not losing this.
He went nuclear. He scored 73 points.
Which in 1978 was basically unheard of.
It was. So Gervin plays later that night. He hears the news. He knows the math. To win the scoring title, he needs 58 points just to tie.
Right.
Now, for most players, if you hear you need 58, you just congratulate the other guy and go home.
Right. You say, good season, Dave. Enjoy the trophy.
But Gervin, he went out and scored 63. But the detail that always gets me is the second quarter. Thompson had set a record earlier that day by scoring 32 points in a single quarter.
Oh, wow.
Gervin, in his game, scored 33 in the second quarter to break the record Thompson had set just hours before.
Talk about anything you can do, I can do better. That is just petty in the absolute best way.
And the final margin. Gervin won the scoring title by an average of 3.06 points, the closest finish ever.
That is razor thin. We almost saw a repeat of that in 2012, didn't we? With Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant.
We did. It was the second closest race in history. Going into the final game, Durant was slightly ahead in the averages. He finished his season at 28.03.
And Kobe had one game left.
Kobe needed 38 points in that final game to overtake Durant. Now, for Kobe Bryant, scoring 38 was just a Tuesday. He could have done it. He probably would have done it if this was, say, 2006.
But he didn't.
He chose to sit out, rested for the playoffs. Durant won the title, his third in a row at that point.
That shows a massive shift in priorities, doesn't it? Kobe wanted the ring more than the scoring trophy. But speaking of Durant, we should mention he holds a pretty special age-related record, too.
He does. In the 2009-10 season, Kevin Durant became the youngest scoring leader in NBA history. He was just 21 years and 197 days old, averaging 30.1 points.
21. I was barely figuring out how to do my laundry at 21, and he's leading the entire NBA in scoring.
It really signaled the arrival of a new generation.
But this brings us to the big elephant in the room, the empty calories argument. There's this myth, or maybe it's not a myth, that if you have the scoring leader on your team, you're not winning the championship.
Right.
That one guy is just taking too many shots, and the team suffers.
It's a very persistent narrative, and when you look at the data, it kind of holds water. We analyzed the records from 1947 all the way to 2025, winning the scoring title and the NBA championship in the same season. It's incredibly rare.
How rare were you talking?
Since 1947, only 6 players have ever done it.
6. In almost 80 years.
Just 6. You've got the early pioneers, Joe Fulks in 47, George Mikan did it in 49 and 50, then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1971.
Okay, so the absolute giants of the game.
And then you have a 20-year gap where nobody could do it. Until Michael Jordan, he did it 6 times, all 6 of his championship years.
Of course he did. He's the exception to every single rule.
Then Shaquille O'Neal did it in 2000. And then a massive drought. For a quarter of a century, nobody could pull off the double. Not Kobe, not Iverson, not Durant, not Harden. It became known as the scoring champion curse.
The logic being that heliocentric offense, where everything revolves around one star, just doesn't work in the playoffs. But that curse was finally broken recently.
It was.
And we have to shout out the newest member of that exclusive club, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yes. The 2024-25 season. Shai really broke the quote-unquote curse. He averaged 32.7 points to win the scoring title and led the Oklahoma City Thunder to the championship in 2025.
It's amazing because for years, the analytics people said, you can't win if your point guard is scoring 30 a night. Shai proved them all wrong.
He did. He joined Jordan, Shaq, Kareem, and Mikan. That is the VIP room of basketball history.
Now, you mentioned Shaq a second ago. And that transitions us perfectly to how the game itself has physically changed.
Yeah.
Because if you look at how Shaq won his scoring titles versus how guys win them today, it's practically a different sport.
It really is. We are so deep in the three-point era. But Shaq stands as this massive, incredible anomaly in the history books.
I love this stat from the research.
Since the three-point line was introduced in the 1979-80 season, Shaquille O'Neal is the only scoring leader to go an entire championship season without making a single three-pointer.
Not one. Not even a heave at the buzzer or anything.
0. In his 2000 MVP and scoring title season, he dominated exclusively from the paint. Now, contrast that with Stephen Curry in 2015-16.
Revolution.
Curry led the league with 30.1 points per game, but the way he did it, he made 402 three-pointers that season, and he joined the 50-40-90 club shooting 50% from the field, 40% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. He was the first scoring leader ever to do that.
It's efficiency plus volume from a distance. It's the exact opposite of Shaq. Shaq physically moved you out of the way. Curry makes you chase him until you're exhausted.
Exactly. And Curry kept doing it. He won another scoring title in 2020-21 at age 32, making him the oldest leader since Jordan.
And we can't talk about volume scoring in the modern era without mentioning James Harden.
The beard. His run in the late 2010s was historically significant, specifically that 2018-19 season. Harden averaged 36.1 points per game.
36.1. That's the highest average we've seen in the modern era. Right?
Among the active players mentioned in our source material, yes. It's the closest anyone has gotten to those Jordan or Wilt type numbers in a long, long time. It showed that with a three-point shot and the ability to draw fouls, a single player can just generate an immense amount of offense.
But again, Harden didn't win the championship that year. He fell victim to that empty calories narrative, which makes what Shai did in 2025 even more impressive. He found the balance that Harden couldn't quite nail down.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the scoring title really tells the story of basketball's evolution. It started as a game of total accumulation in the 50s, then it became about efficiency and average in the 70s. It was dominated by centers, then by shooting guards like Jordan and Kobe, and now we see these diverse scorers winning rings while dropping 32 a night.
It really is the history of the league told through just one trophy. So, let's recap the big takeaways for everyone listening.
Sure. First, the math isn't simple. That shift from total points to average in 1969 created a world where you can score the most points and still lose. Second, Wilt Chamberlain is a statistical alien with his 50-point average, and Michael Jordan is the king of longevity with 10 trophies.
And third, the rarity of the double winning the scoring title and the championship in the same year. It's the holy grail, achieved by only 6 players, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being the one to finally break that 25-year drought.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the end. But before we go, we need that final thought. What should we be looking for next?
Well, here's what I'm thinking about. We just saw Shai break that scoring champion curse. For decades, the logic was if one player scores too much, the team suffers. But look at the trends. Embiid, Luka Doncic, Shai, they're all posting massive scoring numbers, high 30s.
The averages are creeping up across the board.
They are. So the question is, was Shai's championship an outlier, kind of like Shaq in 2000? Or, with the skill level in the league today, where everyone can shoot, everyone can pass, are we entering a new golden age where high-volume individual scoring is finally compatible with winning championships again?
That is a great question. Are we going to see another 25-year drought? Or are the floodgates open? Can you drop 35 a night and still lift the Larry O'Brien trophy? History says it's hard, but the future might be different.
I wouldn't bet against the talent in the league right now.
Neither would I. Thank you all for listening to this deep dive into the buckets, the math, and the myths.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one.